Oh, this beat is hard. Oh yeah, baby. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So the video you're about to watch is my initial reaction. It was at midnight all the way up to 1:30 in the morning to the album initially, and then at the very end of this you'll see my final thoughts after listening to it now the day after 3 times, really letting it sink in and kind of dissecting the album even more. So hope you guys like the reaction. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Josh, aka G. Should reactions to music, TV shows, movies, you name it, I'm going to react to it. In this video, finally we're reacting to King Kendrick. He's back with his 5th studio album. This is going to be, he's calling it Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Really interesting name. I'm probably going to have to dive deeper into the actual meaning of that. But man, we have not gotten a Kendrick album since Damn, which was 2017, so 5 years ago now. And I believe this is going to be his last album with this label, and then he's going to go to a different label. I'm just, after the Hot Part 5, I'm just so excited for this album. I am a late Kendrick fan. I became a fan of Kendrick after Damn was released, actually a year after Damn was released. And then once I heard how great that was, I was able to go back and listen, and just it's just been a great journey. And finally, this is going to be my first time, listening to a Kendrick release as a Kendrick fan, so really excited. Before we do that, let's dive into the actual artwork cover right here. I thought it was very interesting. I didn't know I'm assuming this is Kendrick's kids and his significant other. I didn't know he had one, but where I'm paying attention to is we see the thorn crown kind of representing him as almost like a holy figure, like how Jesus had that thorn crown. But then in his back pocket, discreetly, we see the gun hidden away. So the takeaway that I'm getting from this is, even though I am a child of God, even though I am this person, whether I'm Kendrick, whether I've reached this status financially or socially, I still have to be careful because of who I am as a black man in this country. I still need to carry this gun around me to protect my family, and we see his family in the background right there. So when I saw this, I believe it was released yesterday, I was like, wow, I'm gonna be in for a treat. The album's 18 tracks. It's split 9 and 9, one half and the second half. I believe the first half, I don't know the actual concept behind it, but maybe Mr. Morale part of it might be the first 9 tracks, whereas the Big Steppers might be the second 9 tracks. So super excited. It's gonna be a long night. It is 11:44 right now. We'll probably finish this by, who knows, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but we're gonna get through it. I'm super excited for it. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. It's gonna be track 1, United in Grief.
Tell them. Tell them the truth.
Tell them the truth.
1,855 days.
Is that how long he's been gone? 5 years? There's just so much going on. Oh my goodness, I don't know what to... Wow, what an opener. This is a very interesting song. He could be like 7 bars ahead of me and I'm still thinking about the bar, like literally like in the other verse, the first verse. Wow, what an opener. He just like, it feels like he's venting just everything on his chest. He said something earlier, 1,855 days ago. Was that like 5 years ago? So I'm guessing that's how long he's been gone. So 5 years ago now. And it feels like he's just venting everything that, since he's risen to this fame that he's been going through. He even talks a little bit about Keem at the very end right there, saying, I've seen Keem buy 4 cars in 4 months. Like, he just, even in the chorus, he's talking about what he's spending money on, what he's buying with all this money, with this money. And it just feels, the thing about Kendrick intros is that it really sets the tone for the rest of the album, and it really hooks you in. Like, for instance, Damn with Blood, you're kind of in this journey and you don't really know what's gonna happen, and then boom, it switches to the end. This one is really just sounded like him just telling us about his career and the highlights, but it also, he tells us, everybody grieves different. I'm probably gonna have to listen to that a lot more times, but let's dive right into the next one. The next one's gonna be N95.
Take off the Wi-Fi, take off the money phone, take off the car.
Oh, this beat is hard.
Take off the unload, take off the unsure, take off the jump.
Take it all off.
Take off the
Ooh. This beat is so hard. I gotta pause it for a second. In the very first verse, he literally like what is that, like six, like a whole verse. He says, take all this off, take off your weird ass jewelry, take off, you know, your designer, take this off, take off your idols. And, you know, once you take all that off, he says at the very end, what do you have? Like, who are you really as a person? And then finally with the chorus, he says, ha, you ugly as fuck. Like, after you, that's not the real you. The real you is, you know, hiding behind, you know, all the stuff you put on, and or you ugly, which I thought was kind of hilarious. I still don't know, what does N95 mean? The title, but I'll probably find out soon. But man, this is, and the beat is going hard on this one too.
Cameras moving whenever I'm moving, the family suing whenever I make. What a hypocrite said. What community feel they the only one.
That's a banger of a song. That's such a great song, and the beat is so amazing in that one. N95, I still don't necessarily understand the meaning, I guess, of the title. I guess the only thing I know that's N95 is like the face mask. I guess that would make sense, right? So he's talking about like, take all this off, take off the face mask. Like, who are you really behind that mask? I guess that would make sense. Yeah. Because in the first verse, he's talking about all this fake stuff we surround ourselves with or put on to make ourselves feel a certain way, fuel our ego, if you will. And then in the second verse, you know, after calling, you know, the person ugly as hell, you know, he's actually talking about the market is crashing. You know, he's talking about the real world. Take that off. This is really what's happening in this world right now. This is the real you. You got to confront it almost. That's a banger song. Again, with Kendrick songs, gonna have to listen to it again after this. It's really hard on a first listen. Next song is gonna be Worldwide Steppers. Boy, got Kodak in it.
Not for the faint of heart. My genetic build can build multi-universes. Down my toxins.
Bring the keys in the back.
I added the first time I fucked a white bitch.
His life right now, it seems like.
People on
Ooh.
earth, silent murderers, non-prophets, preachers in church.
Man, he just went off for like 3.5 minutes, it seemed like. Wow. Again, he's just spitting on this one. He's just talking. It's just so much to take in and on a first listen, especially at midnight right now. And I know a lot of people are gonna, you know, pause it and break down it line by line. I don't want to pause it usually. I just want to listen to what he has to say the whole thing throughout. But this one, it wasn't necessarily like the last one. I felt like was a banger, whereas this one is, you know, he's really just on a beat and just telling us, and it's just him talking to you. You know, it's not, I wouldn't even call this a song almost. It's really just him talking to you over a beat. Let's go straight into track 4, Die Hard. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, this is a vibe right here. Whoever this is, I love it. Beautiful song. I love that song. In the beginning, he talks about, you know, pop that pain away, slide that pain away. So he's opening up. He's telling us that, yes, he does feel these pains. And I believe in the second verse, he says, subtle mistakes felt like life or death. I got some regrets, but my past won't keep me from my best. So, like, even though you make mistakes, even though you have these regrets in your life, as emotional or, you know, whatever character defects or flaws that you might have, you just have to keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, I love you. I'm gonna risk it all for you. That's probably my second favorite track so far after N95. Great stuff. The next one is gonna be Father Time. I'm assuming maybe that's his wife's perspective, saying you need some therapy, and he's saying, no, real men don't need therapy.
Daddy issues all across my head. Told me fuck a foul, I'm teary-eyed. Wanna throw my
The instrumental is crazy in this one. Woo, Sampha. Right. I gotta talk about that real quick. He said, when Kanye got back to with Drake, I was slightly confused. Guess I'm not mature as I think. Got some healing to do. So he's still on the, you know, I'm the best. Why are you back together? There should be some beef. Why y'all butting it up, friends? And then he realizes that, wait, I'm the immature one. Why shouldn't they be, you know, solve their issues and be friends? And that stems back to the daddy issues. Wow. In this one, he's really talking a lot about his childhood and his own father. He's kind of reflecting on, you know, his father and how he was kind of treated, both the good and bad side of that. You know, his father taught him, you know, how to be a man, if you will, taught him to be independent on his own. But then there's also the toxic masculinity side to it as well. You know, he needs to be better with his emotions. I brought up the Drake and Kanye line earlier, right? He said he still has these issues and he still needs to learn from it. And it reminds me of, on the Weeknd's album, a Tale by Quincy, where Quincy recalls his childhood with you know, abandonments and his mom and how that affected him subconsciously later on in the future. So I'm wondering if, you know, his Kendrick in this case, you know, his issues with his daddy and how that's affecting his life, his personal life with, you know, his wife and his kids, and how he's going to be a father to his own kids. We heard in the beginning that I'm guessing it's you know, supposed to be his loved one or wife or whoever it is telling him he needs therapy, but you know, he still has those issues where he rejects those emotions and feelings. So a beautiful song, especially for guys out there who, you know, aren't great with expressing their feelings and have that, you know, toxic masculinity. The next one's gonna be Rich. It's an interlude. Oh, this is insane. What am I listening to? This piano's so grand, but then I'm just hearing Kodak right now. Really interesting choice of instrumentals in the back, kind of building up to this very grand piano, and just it was like I was just frozen the whole time. I didn't know what to say, what to do. Like I was half of the time I was paying attention to what Kodak said, the other half of the time I was just listening to this piano just build up even grander and grander and grander. The next one is track number 7. It's gonna be Rich Spirit. Oh damn. Is that a shot at me? Stop playing before I turn you into a song. Okay, Kendrick. Not a bad track. I don't have much to say about that one though. I mean, it wasn't anything super special to me personally. I'll probably have to go back and re-listen to the actual lyrics and what he's saying clearly. Again, with the Kendrick album, first reactions are so hard because they just age like wine, and the more you listen to it, the more you actually pay attention to the structure of the album, it gets better. But that one was just alright to me. The next song, track 8, is gonna be We Cry Together. The world is just full of full of negativity. Oh yeah, this is just a couple that's just in a bad argument right now. This is a cool concept. Again, it's not even like a song really. You know, when you're like the kid and your parents are just fighting and you're just kind of staring really awkwardly. Damn. There's the stepping right there. Is that representing them making love? What a song, man. That is, like I said earlier, I don't think that's not even like a song really. It's just like, it feels like you are a fly in the wall listening into a couple in a very heated argument. You know, it's very real with just a beat in the background. And I wonder where he got this inspiration from. Does the inspiration for the song come from maybe an actual argument he had with his significant other, or maybe he saw this growing up between his mother and father? It's a very real song, and it reminds me of the Damn album, or it's Fear, the perspective of black mother instilling fear in her child. You know, you do this, blah blah blah, I'll beat your ass. You know, the next one's gonna be Purple Hearts, and this is the last track off of the first half.
I'm not in the music business, I've been in the human business.
I gotta pause it real quick. He said, I'm not in the music business, I've been in the human business. That is true. You know, Kendrick's never been one to chase after awards or chase after huge hits. He always, since the beginning, has talked about the real truth, his truth, you know, the human condition, emotions, and all this. You know, his music is not for mainstream, and he's never been after that. So I love the line, I'm not in the music business, I've been in the human business. Summer Walker's dope.
This is the fifth dimension.
It's not bad, it's okay. Yeah, the song's okay. And with that, we finish the first half of the album. He's talking a lot about himself in this one. It sounds more personal in terms of his emotion, what he's going through now as a man, as a father. I wonder how the second half of the album, the next 9 tracks, are going to be different from the first half. Track number 10, this is going to be Count Me Out. This is fire. Session 10, Breakthrough. Ooh. Session 10, this is the 10th track. This is heat. This is a hit. This is a hit. Woo. Oh, this is a banger. What the fuck? This is a beautiful song, guys. I think the very telling part of the song is the very intro, where a lady says, "Session 10, breakthrough." And in the earlier song, we heard someone say, you know, you need therapy, and this is the 10th track on the album. So I'm guessing, are all of these like just sessions then? Like it's supposed to be therapy, like a listen in on a therapy session that Kendrick is going through, and it really, the rest of the song is him just expressing himself once again. The next track on this one is going to be Crown. Is it going to refer to being a king or the thorn crown we see in the art? Who knows?
But the time it'll come, could not be there. When not a new car will help. Not a new car will help. When the new car please everybody, please everybody.
Wow, okay, so crown might be referring to not just the physical crown on your head, but your head itself, and it seems like this might be an insight into Kendrick's thoughts as of now, and he repeats basically the entire outro right there. I can't please everybody. He said a very interesting line in the chorus, I believe. You say no, and all you've done gives them amnesia. At the very point in his life where he's at right now, when he says no to someone, they'll stop loving him and they'll turn their back on him, and they'll just, you know, have amnesia or forget everything that he's done for them. So it really just feels like a look into the mind of Kendrick. Wants to please everyone, but he realizes, and he just repeats it over and over again, that you can't please everyone. The next track is going to be Silent Hill featuring Kodak again. Ooh. Ooh, he's going with the Playboy Cardi vibe. We're in the strings slowly in the background, but not a bad track though. I don't have much to say about it. I mean, it was a very chill track, chill vibe. The next track though is going to be called Savior. It's an interlude.
You ever see your mama strung out while you study division?
Oh yeah, Keen.
A
lot of strings in this one.
Mr. Morale.
I think my favorite part of this is just the strings in the back, and we get the keys as well, the fade out at the very end. It feels very cinematic. Track 14 is going to be Savior, again featuring Baby King.
Future said,
There's the tap dancing again.
but he is not.
C'est la vie, c'est la vie. I tell the whole truth from A to Z. Then he cut COVID and prayed to Pfizer for relief. Then I cut COVID.
So he's talking a lot about society right now, but I gotta go back to the Christian vaccine line. He says, "Seen a Christian say the vaccine mark of the beast." So you know these anti-vaxxers saying, "Hey, that's the devil, don't get it." The Christian caught COVID and prayed to Pfizer for relief. So he didn't pray to God for relief. He prayed to Pfizer because that's really what's gonna help him, not God. Then after that he says, "Then I caught COVID and started to question Kyrie. Will I stay organic or hurt in this bed for 2 weeks?" Being where he's at right now, I feel like, or at least he thinks, that a lot of kids look up to him and view him and these other big celebrities he mentioned earlier, LeBron and some others, as their saviors, when they really are human. They make the same mistakes as you do, as everyone else does. He says, the cat is out of the bag. I am not your savior. I find it just as difficult to love thy neighbors. He also talks, what I find a little bit interesting at the end was, he says, I rubbed elbows with people that was for the people. They all greedy. I don't care for no public speaking. And that's why he's been silent. So during the pandemic, during COVID, during, Black Lives Matter protests or whatever, we see a lot of these people come out, their celebrities or big names come out. Kendrick has stayed silent throughout all of that, and people wonder, hey, why don't you speak about this? And he says, hey, those people that are speaking, a lot of them are fake, they're greedy, they just want a good public perception. I'd rather just stay in the valley of silence and protect my soul. Track 15 is going to be Auntie Diaries.
My auntie is a man now. I watch your man, my mama while my uncles don't like him.
Did not know he would be talking about his transgender auntie.
Faggot, we ain't know better.
Together, but only if you let a white girl say nigga.
Wow, that is a very interesting take. Now, I don't know if this is his real life, but it sounds like it is. But he's taking us through the perspective of someone who has relatives that are transgender now, and how the church views these people and how hypocritical it is. He also mentions the F word right there, to the slur used for gay people. Kendrick says, these are just words, they have no ill will, I'm just saying. Other side of it, where you know, if they really are just words, then you should be able to let a white girl come up on stage and say the N-word. And that's where it cuts off. So very, very interesting song. It definitely makes you think about society, how we view things, how we view words. Track 16 is going to be Mr. Morale.
Tear you in pieces 'cause it's way too heavy, my damn. If he want molested, I wonder he'll fight for heavy. Tear you in pieces 'cause
Not bad, not bad. Probably gonna have to go through and read the lyrics because I know he said a lot, but the instrumental didn't blow me away or anything like that. So track 17, Mother I Sober. I wonder if he's gonna be talking to his mother in the song.
to grab the gun, but I was only 5. I still feel it. Project sleeping with other women. Women's hurt. The pure.
Wow, okay, I gotta pause it for a second. Only real addiction is his sex addiction, it seems like. Whitney asks him if she has a sex addiction, and he says no. It kind of reflects on what his mother was talking about earlier, where she keeps asking him these questions and she doesn't believe him, even though he's being honest and say, no, my cousin didn't touch me, he wasn't inappropriate with. His mother still has this need to ask him, and he's wondering why, you know, why don't you just believe me? And then when he's confronted with the question of do you have an addiction, and he says no, but this time it's a lie, validity in his mom's words and constant questioning of what happened, because we don't know if it was true or not. So a very powerful song so far.
He was violated in Chicago. I'm sympathetic. Sisters, then they made us watch, they made us rape each other. Transformation.
It's powerful, man. I got chills on this one, guys. I wonder if that's actually his kid. It's such a powerful song. It's man, you know, when we hear Kendrick talk about himself and how he grew up, he talks a lot about, you know, the city. He talks a lot about Compton, how he grew up, how dangerous the area was, but we don't hear a lot about his feelings and his personal, you know, with his family and how it affects him to today. And we get the story where, you know, his mom constantly asks him if his cousin touched him, if he was sexually abused. He constantly says no. You know, throughout the journey to where he's become as a man today, and all the issues he addressed in the previous tracks, he says, you know, I didn't get drunk, I didn't get high, I didn't do any of that, but my only addiction was women, his sexual addiction. And when he's confronted with that, he lies straight to his significant other's face, you know, and he realizes this and he reflects on this in this song. And then he goes back and asks his mom why she was so persistent, even though he probably knows the answer now, but he realizes that his mom had been sexually abused. And it struck me in a very emotional way, you know. This is a very emotional song. Not only the sound is emotional, but it's very raw and real, and you can hear the pain in Kendrick's voice as he raps this and as he, you know, tells us this story. He relates this back to not only his family, but the generations of being a black person in America, and, you know, rape and slavery, and, you know, how they did this to our mothers, to our sisters, made us do it to each other. And he, at the very end, he finally says, this stops now. This cycle stops with me. And we hear I assume that's probably his kid, or a representation of his kid, saying thank you, daddy, because it finally stopped. Man, this is beautiful track. And with that, we're gonna head into the last track. This last track is gonna be called Mirror.
Baby, you know she need me. Working on my
Who's he talking about?
Maybe I choose me, I'm sorry.
Cool little outro. I wonder if when he says she in the song, he's referring to not necessarily someone, but the industry as a whole, the hip-hop industry, the music industry, entertainment. Because he says, personal gain off my pain, it's nonsense. A girl, I'm not relevant to giving on profit. So I wonder if he is referring to this girl or she as the industry. Because he repeats it a lot, I chose me, I'm sorry. So I wonder if he's referring to that and would rather just focus on, you know, because he has a kid now, would rather focus on his children, his family, his own personal health, his, you know, problems, his counseling, instead of throwing that away for the people, for entertainment purposes, for profit. I'm assuming that's what it is, but great stuff. And with that being said, we have finished Kendrick's album. This is the first reaction. It is now 1:33 in the morning. I don't know if you can see that. but it was a ride. Alright, so by now, if you finish the video, you'll see my first initial takes on the album. And now letting it sink in, it is now the next day. I've listened to it a total of 3 times. One for the initial reaction, another on my own without having the lyrics up, and then also in the car as well while I was driving. First of all, I'd have to say, if you were expecting the melodic damn, how, you know, the mainstream, you're not gonna get that. If you were expecting Kendrick to talk about the social injustices of the world, solving the world's problems like with To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid Mad City, you're also not gonna get that. I know a lot of people who aren't really into hip hop became a Kendrick fan after Damn, and that's really how he went mainstream. I mean, that's initially how I first became a Kendrick fan as well, but if you are expecting any of that, you are not gonna get that with this album. And I'm gonna compare it to sort of Yeezus. Whereas when Yeezus first came out, it was completely different than what we've been used to with Kanye. It was very experimental and it was an evolution in his music. The same way Miss Morale and the Big Steppers is. It is completely different from any other Kendrick project we've gotten, and it's an evolution of him as an artist and as a human being. What are my thoughts on it? This album to me is Kendrick's most personal album. It is his most vulnerable album. It's him being, it's a deep dive into his life, his feelings, his emotions, and where he's at right now. Now, I understand some people might say that Good Kid Mad City or some of the other albums also dive into his own personal life and his outlook on life, but I feel like those albums focus more on his surroundings, his personal point of view, whereas this one he's reflecting on his flaws. From, you know, N95 to Father Time to We Cry Together, it is very vulnerable. And then at the very end, track 17, Mother I Sober, you can hear the pain in his voice. My theory on the album is, since it's split into 2 parts, it does sound like a whole therapy session, whereas each track is, you know, we get the ups and downs of Kendrick, how he's feeling that day in every session. The first 9 tracks, or the first half of the album, he's kind of really just venting out everything that's wrong. You really get the ups and downs. And then finally track 10 with Count Me Out, very first intro, we hear session 10, Breakthrough. I believe that's what he says. And that is the indicator for the album. That is the most important part of the album, I believe. This informs the audience of 2 things. The first thing, it says session 10. So, and this is the 10th track on the album. This is not coincidental. This lets the viewer know that every track so far has been a different session. And the first 9 tracks have been him really just venting and him not understanding himself yet, and he still needs to grow some more, which is why in the song previous to that, we hear the woman say, "You need therapy," and he's like, "F that, I don't need that, I'm a man," whatever. You know, he's still holding on to that pride and those daddy issues and that toxic masculinity as addressed in Father Time. And the second half of the intro in track 10, he says, the woman says, "Breakthrough." So then that gives us an indicator that the next 9 tracks, or the second half of the album, is him finally accepting his flaws. You know, he's not the savior as we get in track 14. He is a human being that has all these issues. He can't be who you want him to be, even though we put him on this pedestal of one of the greatest of all time. And this goes back to the album artwork as well. We see him with the thorn crown, kind of symbolizing that the public has crowned him as the savior of hip-hop, of entertainment, talking truth, and we put him on this higher pedestal than everyone else. And then in the back pocket, we see he still has the gun. He's still a human. He refers to that. He's still a human that has flaws, that has issues, that has character defects that we all have, and we shouldn't be putting him on this pedestal because he is just him, you know, and he can't satisfy everyone, which he also says in another track as well. That being said though, I did really enjoy the album. First, after a day, my score of the album would probably be like an 8.1 out of 10. That being said though, Kendrick albums, I do believe, will age over time, and they have done, like every other album. I believe this is just gonna get better and better the more people listen to it. And I think it's a beautiful insight into him as a man and him as a father now, and how he deals with his relationship that we didn't know about. And I'm sure there will be you know, breakdowns of the lyrics and of the album concept and all that, but this is just my initial reaction off of one day of listening. Is it album of the year though? I don't know if it is. I still believe Dawn FM is album of the year. This would probably be a second or third for me. I do believe it's gonna age like wine, and I really do like the album. So if you like that reaction, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you didn't, you don't have to. I'll catch you guys on the next one.